Hi guys, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on my paper airplane drawing. It's white colored pencil on black paper. Now you'll see that I've already gone ahead and drawn the outline of my plane with regular graphite pencil. Now the reason I do it with graphite pencil is because if I was going to use the white pencil right away to outline all this, I would end up with a really harsh white outline with no really consideration for all the different value levels. We don't want that. We want the outline to eventually disappear. So if we do it in the graphite, it's enough that we can see it in the right light, but eventually it'll get covered over by our white pencil, so we don't have to worry about it eventually, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop and kind of look at all the different planes that we have here, all these little shapes. They're different levels and planes on top of, in the plane, okay? So I'm going to kind of consider how they differ from each other. For example, right now I know that this plane right here and this one right here are about the same level value-wise. They're pretty bright white. So I would go ahead and start filling that in. Now when I do this, I want to do it nicely and cleanly. I don't want it to look like a big scribbly mess. And the way I can do that is by making sure that all my pencil marks kind of go in the same direction. Okay, you don't really want that whole back and forth scribbly look. Now if I go ahead and put all of this, and I'm putting a pretty good amount of pressure on my pencil right now because these are pretty white areas. So start from the top, really look at your little paper plane. Now there's not a lot of variety on this little shape as far as the value goes. It's all pretty much the same level of white. Now as I go ahead and do this, because this is a Prismacolored pencil, I'm going to go ahead and twist it while I'm working with it, just so that I'm not using up all one side and then it ends up being kind of lopsided and hard to sharpen. So just twist it every once in a while you work. Okay, so very carefully going right up to the line and filling in. Now you'll see that if I go always in the same direction, it looks clean, it all blends together, and that craftsmanship is there. And we want to look out for our craftsmanship, right? We want to make our drawings look really nice. Now on the edge I can kind of go the other way as long as I blend it in to the rest of it. Okay, so there's one plane done. All right, so now looking at the next one over, this is a little bit below this one, so I do have a little bit of a shadow that's cast underneath it, like on this side, on the right hand side of it. I also have this hole, because it's made out of binder paper, where I can see through and it's dark underneath. So I need to pay attention to that, and I need to pay attention to the shadow that's cast here. The rest of it over here is pretty much the same level of value as this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a little bit of black right underneath and then slowly work from dark to light. Okay, so a little bit of pencil all the way to way more pencil. So let me show you how I do that. I'll leave some space and then just barely touching. That's almost too little. There we go. Much lighter. You can go in and blend that all the way through, leaving out that circle for the hole punch. So I'm going to go ahead and go all the way to the edge, even though this edge is much whiter. This way it'll all stay nice and blended and we won't have big jumps in value. So we start like that. The whole thing is pretty much light, okay? Then I'm going to add a little bit more value from this side, easing up as I get to the edge. So it's kind of like I'm making a little value scale from really light all the way to dark. Now you really want to be careful about what you lay your drawing on, because I'm making all kinds of impressions in my drawing from underneath. So nice smooth surface underneath really helps, much better. Okay. So pushing down here, and then as I go out, I'm easing up on the pressure so that we get a nice blend. Now the thing about the colored pencil is that you can't really blend it with a blending stick or with your finger. It's just not gonna work like the graphite does. So you have to do all of this value scale kind of thing with just the way you put pressure on your pencil. Okay. Now, that works, right? It definitely looks like there's a shadow on this part from above, but I still think maybe I made it a little bit too dark, so I can come in here and clean that up with just a little bit of value. Clean up that edge. Just being really careful to keep it light. And I don't think it's really totally black. It's not like the cast shadow, so I will just barely touch it in the darkest area. Okay, so there's my difference here. I've got the completely white area, and I have the second lightest area over here. And I can come back and lighten it up even more. So that's important to realize. You can always keep adding more light, but you can't get back those dark areas. So always make sure you leave those out and then build them up slowly, okay? Now, the next ones over are a little bit darker, so I'm gonna go ahead and barely touch this. I'm gonna do all of the different levels, and then I'll talk to you guys about adding the cast shadow and the value for the actual table, okay? In another video.